Hi everyone, blessed be. So you will have seen these shelves whenever I film face to face, and the stuff I've had on here has been on here for a long time. It's not particularly organised, so I wanted to rearrange the whole thing. Plus I wanted to add onto here my Gaia altar and my goddess Selene altar, so my moon altar. I wanted to add those onto here because they're not like working altars, they're more like a dedication altar, so they don't change a lot apart from obviously I change them with the seasons. So I wanted to put them in the two sort of cube areas on this set of shelves and move out the stuff that's in here already. I wanted to have a bit of a rearrange and make it more gothy, witchy, pagan themed. So first of all, what I needed to do was take off everything that was on there. It's a lot of old projects, and the two skulls with the floral arrangements in, they're Halloween decorations from Halloween last year. But because they're not mega Halloweeny, I do like to keep them up year round. Anything that's basically gothy and doesn't say Halloween on, is not a jack-o'-lantern, I pretty much keep all year round decorating my room. So first of all, what I needed to do was obviously give it a good dusting, and then I did notice that the paint at the back had chipped off because I painted the back purple, the same, well, it's like a deep magenta, the same as the walls in my room. And I did notice there was a couple of areas that had chips on, so I wanted to sort those out. Luckily I still have the paint because I didn't use all of it, so I'll touch that up, but I needed to make sure it was dust free first. So here I've just popped off to go and get the tub of paint that I used. And it's just like a household paint. It's the same paint I used to paint the walls. It's not ideal because if you do bash it, it will chip off quite easily. Hence the reason why I needed to do touch-ups, but I'm not going to worry about trying to strip this and repaint it with proper paint or anything anytime soon. So it's just a case of touching up anywhere where it chips. It's nice, it's easy enough to do. Now it's all nice and dry. It doesn't chip too bad, it's just the odd little area with the odd little ding. So just freshening it up a bit here. Sorry about that, I just bashed the table with my arm. So I'm just giving it a coat of paint at the back, and then after that I will touch up the black in the top section, the roof of the top section. It got a couple of little scrapes on it that needed touching up as well. And anywhere where I get purple paint onto the black, I'll just wipe that off to sort that out. So that's no problem, that's easy enough to do. It's nice and quick. It's just one coat of paint just to cover up any little chips. It has held out pretty well actually, to be fair, this paint has, so I am quite pleased with this. And then I'm just using a baby wipe to wipe off anywhere where it had gone onto the black, just to make sure it's nice and clean and as neat as possible. A lot of that will be covered up by objects anyway, but it's just to make sure I've got a nice sort of base to start off with. So if there is any of the sort of cupboard showing, it won't look tatty. And this area here is, I've got my bureau that I stripped down and painted black, and then I've got this bookcase piece that goes on top. This was one of those sort of house-shaped bookcase pieces that you can use to make like a doll's house or just to put in a kid's room, and I've repainted it. I did have it as a doll's house. There is an old video that I did a few years back of it as a doll's house, and then I just repurposed it when I wanted to move it, because I didn't want the doll's house anymore. I've still got the miniatures and things that I used in there, but this was taking up a lot of space and it would be more useful as storage, so I decided to repaint it. So here I'm just touching up the odd little ding that's on the shelves and on the outside. Literally, it was just the odd one or two little nicks here and there. And then to touch this up, I just used a little bit of acrylic paint and a very small brush. And the acrylic paint I got matches because it's the paint I used to paint the whole thing in the first place. So now what I did was just left that to dry a little bit. The room was quite hot on the day I did this, so it did dry quite quickly. Don't worry about the wisps of smoke you can see on screen. I had an incense stick burning. So it's just the smoke from the incense stick that's travelling around. And then obviously once I'd painted it and wiped it over, then what I did was just smoke cleansed the whole thing, because obviously I'm going to use it for a couple of dedication altars, so I wanted it nice and cleansed. So here I'm just cleansing the whole thing with some smoke, using my favourite incense. And then it's ready for me to place my items on. First thing that I moved was the moon altar, because having that on my desk does take up a lot of space, and obviously I need my desk for craft projects and things, and also it'll save me keep knocking this or anything. I was originally going to put it at the top and had a look, and I thought no, so I just folded up the altar cloth and placed the moon on there like so. This is where I discovered that my moon lamp wasn't charged anymore. So I was just looking to see whether it was just very dull or anything, then I realised. And then after scrabbling around for a bit for the cable, because I couldn't remember where I put it, luckily I'd hung it up on a hook. I put the moon onto charge while I completed the rest of the altar setup and then completed the rest of the shelves. Luckily it just charges through USB. It's one of those moon lamps you can get online. I think I got it off Amazon, and they're cheap enough. There's some that are more expensive than others. Mine's just a cheap one, and I like it because obviously got Selene. Selene is the moon goddess, and obviously that's the one of the goddesses that I have a connection to or feel a connection to. And here I'm arranging the crystals that I always put on my moon altar, which are all white or clear to match the moon theme. So there's lots of moonstone, selenite, marble, quartz, opalite, those sort of things on this altar. And at the front there you can see there's a little marble dish which has some more of my white crystals in, like it's got some opalite, it's got selenite and quartz and white stones like marble stones. And also I decided that because I don't like the colour of the base that the moon comes with, so I painted it black so that it would blend in more with the decor of the place. And it does make it blend in a lot more, because otherwise you've got this like bright pine coloured piece of wood where everything else is like black and purple and white. So I painted that. I just painted the bits where you see it, to make sure that I didn't get too much paint on the altar cloth or any at all. And then while that dried, it's just a case of finishing off decorating the rest of the shelves. By the time the moon is charged, that'll be dry because it's only a very thin layer of acrylic paint on the wood. There's my relaxation candle and some pine cones, and that's a little brassy bronze coloured hedgehog that's a card holder, and I use that to hold oracle cards when I've done a reading. I put my Gothic statue in my gargoyle at the top, and then on the left is where I'm putting Gaia's altar, and she's still sitting on the altar plate that I made, which is a big circle piece of wood with triple moon symbol painted onto it. It just elevates the Gaia statue a little bit, and just gives me a nice little base to work from. In the front is a little blue glass bowl which has got some potpourri and things like that in it, just as like an offering. And then I'm putting my little star fairy lights around, because I do like to have these on my Gaia altar so that I can get a nice glow around her in the night time. And it's just a case of arranging those. And I've put pine cones by her because obviously it's autumn now, so I'm going to start using more autumnal well, it's going to be autumn soon, not yet, so I'm using more autumnal decorations like pine cones, and I will get some sort of like winter leaves and things later on, because I want a more autumn theme now ready for Maybon. And I included the fern leaves that I use behind Gaia. They're just they're plastic ones, but I just think it looks quite nice. It looks like she's sitting in the middle of like a sort of forest or something, and it just looks better and makes the space looks nice. Looks like a nice little alcove. Looks very comfortable place for my Gaia statue to sit. Then on the bottom shelves I've got my crystal ball and my snow globe with a raven in, but I do move those. You'll see me move those shortly. It's one of them where I just try things in a couple of different places to see where I want them to go. But I did move them because I've got like little jars that I have like collections of natural objects in, and I wanted those on the bottom shelf. So the bottom shelf's like my collector shelf, things I've collected, and mostly natural objects. I've also got my 3 little Nemesis now cats that I wanted on display, and I've tried those in a couple of places, and you'll see me move those as well. And there's my Pagan and witchy books and crystal books and spell books. Those are the main ones that I like to read or I haven't read yet, and I like to reread. So I haven't read the whole of the Witch's Bible yet. I've read the House Witch one, and it's got things marked in that I want to do. I've got the Crystal Bible, which is a useful reference one. There's a couple of Wicca books I have read in the past. There's a book on Not Magic, which I haven't read yet. And then I've got a Llewellyn's Spell a Day Almanac. It's an old one from 2020, but I like the spells in it, so I've kept it. So I had I had to decide which side I wanted my books on, and I did ultimately pick that they go on the left-hand side. And I decided to put my crystal ball and my snow globe up the top. I like to have those hidden on the right hand side because then the sun doesn't catch them. Because the only thing you've got to be careful of with crystal balls is if the sun catches them in a funny way, they are quite capable of burning your house down, so you do have to be careful. So I always have these on the right, pushed back so the sun can't catch them, because all the windows and the door are on the right hand side, so it's blocked by the side of the bookcase. They are shining a little bit at the minute, but that's because I've got my filming light on. But with my filming light off, they are in the dark, so like in the shade, so that keeps them nice and safe. If you couldn't put them in a shaded spot, cover your crystal ball with a cloth. It's just to stop the sun magnifying through it and causing any problems with the fire. So here I'm just having a look through my different things that I want to include on this display. I've got my little wooden box and I've got my geode that I've put on there. My little jars have found natural objects in them. So I've got one that's got like rose petals and lamb's wool in there. The lamb's wool's from when I went to Cardinal Valley. I've got crystals. I've got one that's a jar of fossilised seashells. And the other one are like interesting rocks like wishing stones and things that I've collected off the beach. And I've got a little bit of beach sand in from when I went to Weston-super-Mare. So I like to collect natural objects. You can use them in your practice, but also it's nice as little keepsakes. So like each jar, like one's Weston-super-Mare, one is Cardinal Valley, one is crystals. I've got different jars for different things. It's like a nice little thing to do when you've been somewhere and you want a little memento. It's also a great way of having a memento or items that you can use without spending any money. I only bought the jars, and the jars were like, what, £2.50 each? But the actual objects themselves were free because it was what I've collected. Apart from the fossils, though, they were from... There was a bag I saw in the charity shop in Stafford, I think it was, when I went to Stafford. And there was a bag of rocks in the charity shop, and I noticed it got fossilised seashells in it. And they only wanted £1 for the bag. Or was it £4 for the whole bag? It was between £1 and £4 for the entire bag. And I was like, yep, yes please. And there was an ammonite in there, and there were several little... they're called devil's toenails. They're actually fossilised mussel shells. And there was also some fossilised whelk type shells in there as well. So that was a bargain from the charity shop. It's obviously where someone's had a little collection, like a kid or something, and then they've got bored, and then, the parents took it to the charity shop or something. And there's a big chunk in there of a rock that'll go at the front on the right on the bottom shelf in the video. And that is a big chunk of a massive ammonite. Like, the chunk is the size of my hand. And it's only a small piece of what this ammonite would have been. It would have been a really big ammonite shell. Obviously it's fossilised. But I really love the patterns on it and the shapes. And also the fact that, like, it's a prehistoric creature. Like, it used to swim around in the sea, in the oceans, like millions of years ago. So I just love that. So that's on display as well. And there's also a little wooden box that I put in the right hand side at the bottom. And that is it's from an antique shop, and it's an old matchbox. Like, it's still got the striker in there. There's no matches in there. And it's got like a very thin leather layer at the top on the surface that's been all carved with this bird, and it's really beautiful. It's obviously definitely got some age to it, because you don't get matchboxes like that now. And that was £2 from it was either the antique shop or the charity shop. So I've kept that as well, because I just love anything that's got age to it, or a history to it, or a story to it. I love things like that, and obviously natural objects. So here I'm placing all the crystals that I normally keep on my Gaia altar. So I've got clear quartz, a rough piece, or like a non-polished piece of blue lace agate. There's the couple of there was those stones that I found, I think it's carnelian or something, that I found in the pet store, in the decorative stones to go in fish tanks. So I've got those on the Gaia altar as well. And then here I'm putting some of my Gothic decor items in the top shelf. So I've got the baby doll, the broken baby doll head that I painted and made in the cloche that I put it in on the top left. And my little cats and gargoyle and my crystal ball and my snow globe, and then that's it. So that's what my new shelves, my pagan Gothic shelves, look like. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Blessed be, and bye for now.